The Angle Slam
Podcast.
That was actually reasonably in tune.
Melodic, I'd say. Hello, everybody.
Hello, we're back again for more.
Yeah, it seems like a while.
Yeah, I think because like last time we said, we'll probably do one of the question podcasts in the middle, lockdown ones, and it just hasn't happened.
No,
Because to be honest, most of our time at the moment that we get spare is taken up with Warzone. So
yeah, there's that, and also the lockdown's kind of evolved enough to be like, right, we've kind of got comfortable of figuring out what we can do. We've not got this podcast of like, it's fuck all to do, we've got to do something. So yeah, I think this is, we're pretty happy with the way things are going podcast-wise, I think.
Yeah.
You can do another questions one if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, hopefully we'll do. I think we should probably do one more before lockdown kind of eases.
Yeah, we'll do an ultimate final episode or something like that. I don't know. But yes, anyway, do you want to do your thing?
Yeah, so like, subscribe, share as usual, and we're on loads of different stuff like SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Music, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on a few more things like Castbox, Google Podcasts. The only one that seems to not be working properly at the moment is the one called Anchor. All the other ones that are linked up on our thing seem to work fine, but Anchor doesn't seem to want to update, so I'm working on trying to get that fixed. But everything else, it'll all be there. Okay,
that's good. I don't think there's any deaths. If I'm trying to have a think. I keep thinking, did I see something to be saddened by? The only two bits of breaking news, I suppose. One came a couple of days ago that Andrade's been released.
Yeah, Andrade's, which is such a shame.
He asked for it. I figured it would happen. Yeah. It's weird.
Sorry, guys. We had a little bit of a kind of problem there.
Audio issue.
You just kind of dropped off silent.
Yeah, so let's hope this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, anyway.
Yes, I'll pick up where I left off. Andrade. Yeah, it's weird because his contract doesn't have that whole, you can't wrestle for anywhere else for 6 months. I don't know why.
Yeah, I find that weird. So it'll probably be an AEW within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but he might be with Zelina. You don't know. These things can happen. The other breaking news, which came up about 2 hours ago, is Kane will be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Is well deserved.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's anything to do with Batista having to drop out because he's got other commitments.
Yeah, he can do him next year.
Yeah, he's apologised, but it's fair enough. He was meant to do it last year. It's come to around to this year, but he's got commitments, which I'm guessing are like Guardians 3 and all that kind of stuff. So that's fair enough. But yeah, congratulations to Kane. So yeah, I don't think there's any deaths off the top of my head. So
no, except for maybe a couple of storylines that are dying.
Yeah, it was a weird pay-per-view.
This was a pay-per-view of two halves, wasn't it? Really?
I really had to think about the star rating for the end of this.
Yeah, me too.
It was. I'll tell you what it was. It was the bullseye pay-per-view. It was shit and it was good.
It was shit and it was good.
It was something like nothing is really jumping out at me of like, oh, how awesome is this? But nothing is happening where I can fairly go, this is shit.
Well, there is one match which we'll get to, which I thought was fucking diabolical.
But I think it's the same one.
I mean, I assume pre-show you didn't watch it. I saw the recap of it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch it, but it's kind of like two things. It's like, okay, we're already demoting the United States Championship again.
Yeah.
And they've finished with Retribution already.
Yes, and this is somewhere where I'm really pissed off with the company of how they've handled this, because not only were Retribution just like shit anyway, and they just didn't handle these characters properly at all, but apparently Mustafa's working through an injury, and they promised him, if you can continue to work through this injury, we'll have a big glow-off of Retribution at WrestleMania where they disband at WrestleMania and have a big payoff there. And he said, okay, I'll work through my injury and we'll get that done, and then we can all move on after Mania. And then at the last minute, they decided to change it, not only to the Fastlane pay-per-view, but to the pre-show of the Fastlane pay-per-view and break it up there. So, That says everything you need to know, really, of what this company's like. That they promise someone that's working through an injury to give them a good angle to finish on Mania, and they put it on a pre-show instead.
Yeah, I mean, I always try and look at the other side of the coin, or what we don't know. Like, for all we know, something might happen with Ali of like, right, you can't work through this now. You've got to get it done pronto. Like, to the point, like, he might not even make it to Mania, so the payoff might not happen.
Mm.
And also, I don't think Retribution was strong enough to get a Mania moment.
Well, I would have been fine with him on the pre-show of Mania, but not the pre-show of Fastlane.
Yeah. But the end result is kind of like, wow, Retribution came in white hot, felt like a lead fucking balloon. And I can't remember the two guys that did the double chokeslam to him now.
T-Bar and Mace. T-Bar and Mace. I guarantee, like, there'll be a tag team within the month.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with it being a tag team, because the tag team division needs some actual teams.
Oh, yes.
But I'd be okay with them keeping their names, but I'd rather them go back to their NXT names.
Yeah, I think we all want that.
Like, absolutely strip down the whole Retribution fuck up and start from scratch.
Well, I'm starting to, like, I noticed as well that Dijakovic's growing his hair back. So it makes me think that maybe they'll be pushing to put them back to their normal characters. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I can't remember the name of the real name or wrestler name of Slapjack now, but he looks like a good wrestler.
He is.
I'm thinking, okay, if you want, they could go with a complete singles push, like do the vignettes of used to be Slapjack, now I'm this guy, I'll be coming in with a full head of steam. Or, with the kind of wrestler he is, make a team out of him and Ricochet. And you've got another thing for Ricochet to do, and you've got another team for the tag team division. So, yeah, there's a few elements of what could happen, but I think, unfortunately, it was the right decision to break up Retribution.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I would have rather them stick to what they said they were going to do, and at least give Mustafa Ali that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The main show kicks in with, the Women's Tag Team Championship.
Yes, and this is the one I alluded to earlier about how shit I thought it was. No one, and I mean no one, is going to convince me otherwise that anybody benefited from this fucking match. Nobody. Reginald got involved, didn't need to. Like, you're putting them in a bad spot where no matter who's getting pinned, no one fucking wins out of this. And then you end up having Sasha Banks be the one that gets pinned. So not only have you pinned the champion going into Mania, you pinned the challenger going into Mania a couple of weeks ago with Tamina on fucking SmackDown. So both of them don't look good going into Mania. You've got Reginald circling around the outside as well, which is really annoying. And then Baszler and Nia Jax just haven't been looking really strong either. The whole match was crap. There was nothing that I really enjoyed. There was nothing that stood out to me. There wasn't even that great a wrestling, to be honest. Nothing about this worked. I hated it.
See, this wasn't the match I was going in with hate. Don't get me wrong. To a degree, I agree with you. What's kind of depressing, though, is I was watching it kind of like with the unfortunate view of this still, despite how shit it is, might still be the best women's tag match I've seen out of the lot recently.
What?
And I don't mean a lot. I mean by purely the fact that they tried, even though they failed, they tried some storyline elements. From the start, you had, not only is Sasha and Bianca arguing, so is Shayna and Nia. One of the big problems is they had the one thing, apart from the argument with Shayna and Nia, I think they had one more little moment of, come on, give me a break in each other's face. And that was it. Where Sasha and Bianca had done quite constantly, I'm thinking, if you want to make the audience guess what's going to happen, who's going to explode, who's going to turn on who, both teams need to be dissolving before her eyes. And they just focused it more on Sasha and Bianca, which I guess they should going into WrestleMania. But it took me right out of the match of Nia and Shayna are obviously going to win this because they're not on the same page, but on a better page than the other two. So Yeah, it was nothing to write home about. The slap Sasha gave was good. I will say
that's fine. It's just that I also found it really weird that they did that near the breaker, which we knew would happen anyway. I think but then what happened when Sasha's at the top of the ramp, and then Belair is talking trash to her, but she's looking at the Mania sign. I just thought, you do realise you're not looking at Sasha, right? And it just seems so weird and perplexing. I'm just like, what? You've already pointed at the sign. You've pointed at it so many times. You don't need to keep doing it. Turn round and address your challenger directly. It just looks stupid. It made her look stupid.
Yeah, I just thought, when obviously she was in shock by the slap, if she'd seen the Mania sign where obviously it all came back of like, okay, WrestleMania, I'm going to get you, bitch. Then turn to stare Sasha down.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. But the way it came across, I think what they were trying to do, I'm clutching at straws here, of like, Bianca's character is so just not interested, not interested isn't the word I'm looking for, is more focused on WrestleMania than Sasha. Sasha just seems to be title holder. What it came across as, though, unfortunately, was like, like you say, you've just been stupid. Like, stare down your opponent, not the logo. Because, yes, you're going to WrestleMania either way. But if you want your Mania moment, you've got to beat your opponent.
Yeah.
That you can't build it up around the show. You have to build it up around the match. So, yeah, it just was one of them. It was kind of like, I knew going in, it's like, this has just been thrown on the card for the weak storyline reason and to get a women's match on the card.
This is the problem now, though, is that I've got to the point where I don't care about the Belair-Sasha match at Mania, and I really, really wanted to. Like, one of the ones I was really anticipated to look forward to. As soon as Belair won the Rumble, I was like, right, she's probably going to pick Sasha. This is going to be awesome. But they've just sucked all the joy out of it with involving Reginald, Sasha, Shayna and Nia, and all this tag stuff going on. Can they go on? Just, it's so convoluted, it's so ridiculous, and it's there's a load of like little fluff things going on with Reginald and all this kind of shit. It just, none of it works for me, and it's just sucked all the joy out of it, where I'm now no longer looking forward to the match.
Yeah, it was one of them where I went in not looking forward to it. After it ended, it was kind of like, well, I don't know if I've just been desensitized by it now. I'm just not even disappointed. I'm just thinking, well, that happened. That's what it was. Because, again, like I say, I understood why it had to be on the card in the sense of not only just getting the women on the card, but you've got to try and keep the Women's Tag Championship strong and continue the storyline, no matter how weak, between Bianca and Sasha. But, yeah, again, it was one of them of like, you realise you did this at the last pay-per-view as well.
Yeah!
Yeah, so it's like, there's been no... And this is how out of it I am. I didn't even know Reginald had switched sides.
Yeah, I'll be honest, my missus did the same. She goes, why is he over here now? And I had to explain the whole thing to her, and she went, oh, for God's sake, it's so crap. I was like, it is, isn't it?
Didn't even know. I was just like, oh, all right then, whatever. So, yeah, that happened. It would have been weird if Sasha and Bianca had won. It would have been interesting to see them going as champions against each other, but the way they're trying the story, they did the right victor. It just fell a bit flat.
Yeah.
Next was Biggie versus Apollo.
Yes, now, this match, I was, out of all the stuff on the card, this is the one I was actually looking forward to the most, because Biggie's doing really well at the moment. The character change they've done with Apollo, I actually am really enjoying. I quite like it. Well. Really quite like it. It's making him quite relevant, and considering they've already done the match a few times, you would have thought it got stale, but with the reinvention of his character, it's got me invested again, and I like this kind of feud that they're having. So I really was looking forward to this match. And don't get it wrong, when it started, the first 5 minutes, it was hot. Yeah. You know what I mean? They were going like two big dudes just going at it, big moves, big hits, just real kind of like they're pissed off. Like the trash talking that Biggie was doing, you asked for this, you wanted this, and just splashing him on the outside. All of that was great. And then the wheels completely came off. I don't know whether it was a botch or whether this was generally meant to happen. I can't really be sure. Yeah. But then to suddenly have this weird roll-up with a pin, but not a pin, then the bell... It was so weird, and unfortunately, it ruined it for me because of how well it started, and then that happened. I was like, oh. And I like the fact that Apollo beat him down afterwards, which makes you kind of continue stuff. But it just, unfortunately, the damage was done with this weird botch at the end, and it wrecked it and made it abruptly end, and it was just a shame.
This is it. I've always said, like, you could have the most amazing match, but the finish is the most important part.
It's how you leave them, folks. It's how you leave them.
Because you could have a couple of fuck-ups in the match, but if the finish is on point, they're almost forgivable. It's the other way around, not so much. So, as far as, again, I knew Apollo had changed character, but I didn't know a lot of the story. So that vignette, not only was it a great vignette before the match, but I was like, this story's been crafted really well here of why Apollo's turned. Biggie, he's not being a dick, but he's kind of like, get back. You've had your chances, get to the back of the line.
Yeah.
I'm not being a dick, but this is just the way it rolls. And Apollo's character is almost kind of, he's reminding me of a Black Panther kind of villain.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, because obviously it's Nigerian kind of thing, so it's kind of around that area, I suppose.
But the way he's carrying himself and the way he speaks now, and it's almost passionate. Not that, don't want to shit on Apollo's face persona, but his face persona was just kind of, I'm going to smile and do my job. There was nothing really, anything there. So not only is the character change helped him, but it's also shown the side of Biggie of like, I'm a fun-loving guy, but if you piss me off, this is the
exactly. It benefits everybody in this feud. I wouldn't even mind, given how, obviously, unfortunately, the way this ended, I wouldn't mind them capping this off at WrestleMania. Put a stipulation on it, maybe, I think, to kind of spice it up a bit. Yeah. But I would be fine with them capping it off at Mania, and I would actually be fine with Apollo winning.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the plan going ahead. And I did think, you've done it a couple of times out. You need to throw a stipulation in there. I'd be okay. It's not my favourite match type, but I'd be okay with them doing it in a cage.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, there hasn't been a cage match since WrestleMania 2. So they could create history there of first time in years we're doing this.
Yeah.
So the match itself, like I say, everything from the start, I was like, right, I'm invested. Yeah. This is going well. The match was going well enough to be like, all right, the way things keep going here could be match of the night. And then the finish. And it was one of them where I was like, okay, roll up, all these roll-ups happening. And at first I thought the ref was meant to do one of those, the shoulders were down for both of them, 3 count, it's a draw. But then straight away she's like, it's Big E. And before you can even process it, Apollo's straight on the attack, which is fair enough. But it was kind of like, just this overwhelming disappointment of everything was going so well.
See, for me, if it was generally a botch, I don't see why Adam Pearce couldn't come out and say, no, there's no definitive winner. We start the match. Easy, nice and easy way to finish that off, and that's what he's there for, to kind of be on the button when this shit happens. But no.
Yeah, fortunately, I don't think it damaged either character. It just
I don't.
Bad point in the match.
No, it didn't down the character. It's just unfortunate that I'm leaning towards it probably was a botch, but again, I can't be sure.
Yeah, because if the thing is, if that went the way it was meant to go with Big E winning, if the draw stipulation never went through their head, I was thinking, well, why not? Big E remains champ. Apollo hasn't lost. Keeps both characters strong.
Yeah.
So. And obviously you want the next match because you need a definitive winner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, it didn't weaken him because of the beatdown afterwards, but now Big E's got yet another victory over Apollo.
Yeah.
So for the casual viewer, they're going to be like, how many chances are they going to give him? So, and some people had a problem, some of our mutual friends had the problem with the beatdown Big E was giving Apollo at the start. Of like, you changed Apollo to this new character and he's getting his ass kicked. It's like, yes, but he's doing his character well enough to let's not bury Big E here. But
you got to keep Big E strong as well, and you kind of sit there waiting for Apollo's comeback.
Well, yeah, but Apollo's strength came from the beatdown afterwards.
Yeah,
so it was almost like it was the beatdown he needed to get at the start because he betrayed the universe, so to speak, of turning heel. It was kind of like, that's how you get the momentum building of, the casual fan going, yeah, Biggie, whip his ass, he's got it coming to him. Oh crap, he's coming back, I don't want him to win. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's that kind of structured story. But like we say, unfortunately, the finish just it's such disappointment. It was just such a disappointment.
Such a sour taste, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know whose fault it was, and I'm not going to start pointing fingers. It's just one of those things.
Yeah,
it happened. Next was my worst match of the night, Strowman Elias.
Yeah, this was just... ugh.
The point of it.
I mean, they're going towards Shane and Braun, and obviously they've announced it on Raw now. And I'm not really interested in that match anyway. And it's just the fact that the whole match is based around him calling Braun stupid. And it's just like, can you not think of anything better? It's so childish and mediocre as far as the storyline's concerned. I don't mind him coming out injured and getting Elias to replace him, but it's just like, do that on a Raw. Don't do that on a pay-per-view. If you don't want them to have the match at the pay-per-view, don't book the match on the pay-per-view. There's plenty of other people that can fill that spot. Just do that segment on Raw. It was a Raw segment that could have just been done on Raw. It didn't need to be on the pay-per-view. It was pointless. Nothing was great. It just seemed kind of meh. There was nothing of note. And it was obvious that Braun was obviously going to win. But the thing is though, even with Braun, the fact that he's calling him stupid, and then Braun just comes out and accepts the fact that he's having a match with Elias, rather than even contest it towards Shane going, what the hell do you think you're doing? He just comes out and has a match. It's like, you are stupid then. You're proving his point. It's stupid.
It was nothing about it was pay-per-view worthy. It was like say, it could have been a Raw segment, even though I understood what they were trying to go. I'm like, this pisses the fans off. Shane's, we're going to have another one. I get that. But we all know it's heading off at the WrestleMania. So it was just, again, pointless. So the logic would have been of when Braun came out, obviously Elias wants another performance at WrestleMania. I have no idea if a part of that was to build that up, but even so, it's like, A, why do we need to build up another Elias performance? And B, he's done it at the last 3 or 4 pay-per-views, which A, it's kind of expected, and B, think of something else for him to do. Maybe I'll actually have a fucking match.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's like, okay. Even when Shane was like, I've got an idea earlier in the night, it's like, I already know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I already know.
Yeah, it's just it's so paper thin, isn't it?
Yeah, but I just thought, when Braun came out, why didn't he just, if he hates Shane so much, ignore Elias, dart straight for Shane?
Yeah.
And if Shane was smart, again, it's that whole good storytelling would be, well, if I don't fight him here, I'll probably have to fight him at a later date, i.e. WrestleMania. What if I take him out of the picture? He could have made a handicap match or some other match that would have been a potential threat to Braun, so he'd leave him alone. But no, you just feed him to Elias for no reason.
Yeah.
No reason. So I just watched that what the fuck are we doing here? The Strowman Express thing, Elias's reaction was pathetic. I just thought, fair enough, Braun had to slow down because he nearly hit the other guy. I forget his name.
Riker,
yeah. So he had to jump over him, hit Elias without the full momentum. Elias just, any stuntman would be ashamed to see the way he went into the air.
While you're on the subject of the Strowman Express, have you seen what they've done with it on Raw now?
Yeah, don't even...
I'm serious, mate. I watched it, and I literally burst out laughing going, what am I watching? Is it Thomas the Tank Engine now? What the hell is this?
My brother told me, and I just yelled at him like he was responsible. It's not a fucking cartoon. It's not a cartoon. This is not Tom and Jerry. What the fuck are we doing?
It's so shit. It's so shit.
This pissed me off even more because I've spoken to our mutual friend Matt about this, and he said this thing, and I told my brother, and my brother just put his head in his hands and he's like, "Oh God, that's what they're doing, isn't it?" He was talking about the Braun Shane storyline, and he goes, "You know what they're doing, don't you? It's brains versus brawn." I was like, "Oh God, it is."
Yeah.
It's the stupidity versus brawn. They're doing this for the tagline. It's don't get me wrong. Braun Shane at WrestleMania might be an okay match. But as far as investment and storytelling, not interested.
Yeah.
Not interested at all. So that shit show happened. Next was Shinsuke Seth.
Yes, and this is where the pay-per-view began to turn around. Because obviously,
yeah,
Seth and Shinsuke are both incredible wrestlers. It's obviously building towards Cesaro versus Seth at Mania, and obviously the roadblock he's got to face is Nakamura. And this is probably one of the best that Nakamura has looked in a long, long time. Since he won the Rumble, I think this is the best he's looked. It was a really good back and forth. Loads of great moves back and forward. I really enjoyed the match that they had together. I also quite like the finish and the way that Seth kind of jumped on his knee or something and then hit him with the back of his leg. Yeah, some kind of random new move. And then obviously he went into the stomp for the victory. You know, it's kind of obvious that Seth was going to win this one, I think. But, you know, it is what it is. But Nakamura didn't look bad coming out of this. There was, we had our Kinshasas, we had our Falcon Arrows, we had all the stuff that it does exactly what it says in the tin when you get Seth and Nakamura in a ring together. It was great, really fun, and it's a nice, easy way to build towards the match at Mania.
Yeah, it's Shinsuke turning face again. I think it was the right move.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, I agree. It's the best he's looked in a while. Mainly because he's not been lost in the deck of just throwing into a tag team. Because I'll be honest, I completely forgot him and Cesaro were tag team partners. So I do still. It might just be the sadistic New Japan side of me who wants to see more strong style Shinsuke.
I don't think that's ever going to happen, really. While he's in WWE, I just don't see it happening.
Okay, maybe, at least NXT Shinsuke.
Yeah, I'll be all right with that.
So. Yeah, the match. I don't mean this as a knock at all. The only thing I could really say about it is that it was pay-per-view solid, but there was not really many spots I can think of apart from that new move that you just mentioned. Yeah, because I thought it fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, it was on a clinic, but it was definitely, like you say, it was definitely pay-per-view worthy.
Yeah. No, I'm not knocking it at all. It was just kind of like. It's hard as a reviewer to kind of go, if anyone's like, oh, I might watch Fastlane and see what these guys think about it. The only thing I can say is like, yeah, it's good, watch it. Yeah. That's all I can really say.
Just a thumbs up. Yep, it's good.
Yeah. So, the new move, when he got his leg caught, I thought he got his leg caught on Shinsuke's thigh. And it took me like a second until he did that, like the reverse spinning heel kick. And it really impressed me because it's not the greatest new move I've ever seen, but it's so hard to be creative and make something new.
It's quite innovative. It seemed like he just kind of did it on the fly, and I like that.
Yeah, and I'm not shitting on it. I think it was also a way to give Seth more something to do than Shinsuke, because again, you need some sort of build for his match with Cesaro.
Yeah.
And Shinsuke is the right choice because, like I say, he was the partner of Cesaro. And, I think the last time they faced each other they've only faced each other one at a time, and it was Survivor Series a few years ago. And I remember watching that thinking, it's okay, but there might not be chemistry there. This was a definite improvement.
It showed,
this match was better than Survivor Series 1, so it was like, okay, you're definitely creating some chemistry. You're both really good at what you do. So I don't really have anything bad to say about it. Shinsuke took a few good bumps, as did Seth. I mean, the suicide dive, he pretty much clapped him into the security barrier. They did their job.
Yeah,
that's the best way to do it.
Solid.
They did the job. And they did it well. So next was Alexa Orton.
Yeah, now this, to be honest, we all know this was going to be more of an angle than a match because it was obviously an mixed gender thing. So I was just like, well, yeah, it was interesting though. The problem is with going forward towards Mania and this whole thing with the Fiend and Alexa and this whole supernatural stuff. It's unfortunately with most fans, it's very much like Marmite. Either you're into it or you're not. Now, I was into it at the start, and when it first kicked in, I was like, Orton Fiend at Mania, I'd be alright with that, that'd be fine. And then it just started slowly but surely, just kind of like, it's getting a little bit too supernatural for me, it's getting a bit weird. And then with the reintroduction of the Fiend here, it's kind of got me back on board a little bit with it. I didn't mind. I mean, it was fine with all the Alexa stuff and the dropping of stuff and the flames and all this kind of stuff. It made me laugh when the commentator said, "Oh, did Orton just block that fireball?" I was like, "No, of course he fucking didn't." But so that stuff was fine. But we all knew what the end game of this was, and Fiend coming back was really good, and it was all melted and everything, like his suit's melted onto the body, and it was really creepy, like really creepy. And I thought, I like the fact that it's really creepy. I go for that, sure. Alexa technically beat Orton because obviously he got hit with his sister Abigail. I find it funny the way that she decided to pin him. That she was straddling over him, and I was like, Orton's a lucky man. But I found out that his wife tweeted saying, "You gone fucked up," so she weren't happy at all that she straddled Orton. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was an angle more than it was a match. But it's seeing the Fiend again with this new kind of look. It's got me on board to see what happens next.
It was one of them where going in, I was like, right, I'm very interested in this, mainly because of the whole intergender platform. But the way, even with everything that happened in what we could loosely call the match, I thought, couldn't have this been a segment instead of a match? Yeah, couldn't have Orton, they could have started selling, whatever they're sponsored by, or WrestleMania's coming up, championship match, blah, blah, blah. And Orton could have come stumbling out, like, throwing up that black goo.
I'd have been fine with that. Instead of officially announcing it as a match, he just randomly appears with that shit coming out of his mouth. And then the same stuff happens. Yeah, I'd have been right with that.
Yeah, just blowing up and seething of like, Alexa, get out here now. We're sorting this out. And then, if you want to keep Orton strong, have Alexa keep doing all the things, keep Alexa's demeanor exactly the same with the laughing and all that. But every little thing that happens with the lights falling down, the fireballs missing him and all that, Orton is unfazed to the point of he is that pissed off now. He doesn't even care if he gets hurt. He wants Alexa. So do the lights thing, do the fireball thing, have him stalk around the ring until they get back in the ring, and then the whole Fiend thing happens. I will admit, when the burnt hand came out, I thought, I don't know if that's cheesy, but I understand. Of course, he's going to be fucked up.
Yeah.
Bray popping out through the smoke and then just the quick head turn and seeing that fucked up face, I was like, yes, okay. I'm not sure about the attire. I get he's all melted in, but it was beginning to look like a very 80s wrestler, just, a bit too much of a costume gimmick than a wrestler. So... I'm glad Bray's back. I'm always glad to see Bray. Love the whole melted mask thing and the dead eye.
Yeah.
He's got one dead eye thing. So I did speak to, again, our mutual friend Matt about this. And it's kind of that whole thing of yes, we got the Orton match, but afterwards, where do you go from there?
Yeah, that's true.
And I've got two theories. The way things are going at the minute, because the storyline is Alexa's, so quote, air quotes for those listeners, brought him back from the dead, it might have to turn into the power changes a bit and the Fiend kind of becomes Alexa's pet.
Yeah, so this is the thing that's unclear. We're not going to find out probably until SmackDown this Friday, but we're not sure whether this is a tandem thing where they're kind of both in charge, or is it going back to before where the Fiend is in charge of her, or is it now switched over where she's the one that's telling him what to do? She's unleashing the bull in the china shop.
Yeah, which I'd be fine with, because eventually, if the Fiend kind of breaks from her leash, so to speak, gains his power back, he can have the power to turn Alexa back to how she was. And when she's back to how she was, which obviously she'd be terrified of the Fiend, that's when he can get his proper revenge. Then we were talking about how long is he going to be with this burnt gimmick? And he's like, how are they going to get away with that? I was like, the way I do, again, it's down the supernatural route. He's got the two gloves, hurt and heal. We've only ever seen him use hurt.
So the heel thing, I think someone mentioned it on a podcast. I can't remember which wrestling site, it could have been Wrestle Talk, I don't know, but someone mentioned it saying, what if he decides to use the heel thing and get himself back to normal at some point? I said, yeah, I mean, they're using supernatural stuff anyway, so it's not like I'm looking at going, well, this is outlandish. We're looking at going, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think he needs to use the heel thing, otherwise we're not going to get Firefly Funhouse break.
Yeah, exactly, and we need that back, because that's two sides to the same coin. You have to have both. You
need the other side of the coin, otherwise the Fiend becomes less special.
Yeah, he also becomes just another. Eventually, he will become just another generic kind of gimmick thing. But with this kind of tandem thing with the Buck Rogers thing, it makes much more sense to have both.
Yeah, because if it's like having the Demon Finn all the time.
Yeah,
you have Demon Finn all the time. It's not as special when you pull him out the back.
Yeah,
you need Firefly's Funhouse break. So when he pulls the Fiend out, it's special. So, I mean, they could do a thing later down the line where, let's say, Bray kind of breaks the chains up. Or he could do a promo like something along the lines of Shed the Skin. And then Bray, not Bray, Alexa picks up the mask of the burnt Bray mask. And when the lights come back on, it's the Fiend as we know him now.
Yeah.
Back to normal, like over Alexa's shoulder, like almost like now it's my turn to play bitch kind of thing. There's a lot of routes they can go. But as far as how it was executed at Fastlane and how he looks, I'm kind of just straight down the middle of, okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I wasn't exactly blown away by it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was all right. It was passable. So, next match was Drew Sheamus.
Yeah. Thing is, though, like, going into this match, I wasn't interested on the fact that they'd already announced that Drew's going against Lashley at Mania. So it's just like, well, you've just told us who's going to win this match then. Because why would you have him lose this match to go against Mania? What you should have done is made this a number one contenders match for the title. That would have made a lot more sense. So unfortunately, the intrigue of who's going to win was kind of taken away from me, or taken away from us watching this match. Putting that aside, this was still an amazing match. It was really good. These guys just going nuts at each other. Loads of like hard-hitting stuff. When he threw through the screens at the top that was awesome. I like the fact that the white noise on the table with the sign in the background, that was all great. Really good visual stuff. And then the way that Drew won the match with like a desperation claymore. You know what I mean? It's like it did kind of come out of nowhere. It's like, I'm going to have to hit this now, because if I wait much longer, he's going to have me. So it did keep both of them quite strong, and it was a hard-hitting match with some two big dudes, and I really enjoyed it. I also quite like the fact that Drew had Scottish makeup on.
I did as well.
But I was kind of going, oh, does that mean that Sheamus is going to have Irish makeup on him? And he didn't, and I didn't. Yeah. It was like, oh, what? That's a missed opportunity, isn't it? But
I thought the exact same thing. But at one point, I think during Drew's entrance, he did that whole fireworks thing. And he's looking down the barrel of the camera with the Scottish flag on his face, looking angry as fuck. I'm like, yeah, that's the money shot there.
Yeah.
You need to keep that kind of intensity. So, yeah, again, I'm not saying there wasn't... When you got a no-holds-barred match, which going in, I didn't know it was no-holds-barred, so that was a nice surprise for me. There's a lot of spots that are going to happen, like hardcore-wise, weapon-wise, and all that stuff. But the main spot was obviously Sheamus going through the screens of the Thunderdome, because it's new. You haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
So it might be another struggle of how to review it, but it is exactly what I expected of just a hard... Because they're best friends, I knew they'd go to town on each other.
Yeah, because they know each other well enough. They've wrestled so many times together, they know each other.
Yeah, again, the promo to it was great. 20 years of
I'll be honest, it was one of the best promos I've seen in recent memory, and I cannot deny that when it comes to making promos and video packages, there is nobody better than WWE.
Yeah,
no one can beat those video packages. Those video editing team guys are second to none. They can make a pile of shit feud look like the greatest match you're ever about to see. That's how good they are at making these videos.
It was one of those matches, the best way to describe it is that they knocked the shit out of each other. And it wasn't, obviously I could have gone with a little bit more, but at the same time it wasn't too much. There wasn't like Sometimes, don't get me wrong, I love to see ladders and all that kind of stuff. But with those kind of two, if they pulled out a ladder, it'd be like, well, why would one of these two pull out a ladder? They're not ladder kind of people.
Yeah.
They just grabbed what was around them, like the canes, the chairs, the stairs, whatever. Anything they could get their hands on at the time, they either threw it at each other or whacked each other with it. And yeah, so it felt like a fight, and it was a fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fantastic brawl. Again, if Sheamus had got the upset victory, he might have got the cogs turning of, is it going to be triple threat?
Yeah, but it's just like going forward, obviously, with it might be a triple threat for the other title. You don't want two triple threats at Mania. It seems a bit silly.
Yeah, well, you never know. They might go for, fuck it, let's make them both triple threat. You didn't see that coming. But I was shocked that Lashley, the WWE champion, wasn't on the show at all.
Yeah.
Because another storyline thing could have been, if Sheamus won, it could have been because Lashley interfered. Which he, if anything, he had more opportunity to do so because no one was getting disqualified.
See, this is why I reckon it should have been a number one contenders, because then whoever wins, Drew, obviously, at the moment he's celebrating, that's the moment for Lashley to come out and spear the shit out of him and put him in the hurt lock. Like, I don't understand why they couldn't do that. But again, it doesn't make sense if this is not a number one contenders match. You know what I mean?
I mean, in my head, I thought of, again, not blowing my own trumpet, blowing smoke up my own ass. I was watching the show and I thought, you can make 6 stars within a year if you do something a certain way. If Apollo wins the Intercontinental Championship, which I think he will, I think his character will flourish. He'll just start rising up the card. Apollo becomes a star. Probably not a popular decision, and not something I would personally want to see as a fan of Lashley and all that. But maybe have Lashley hold the championship for a whole year, and he's bringing the Hurt Business up with him. If Hurt Business win the tag championship at some point, maybe even MVP comes out of retirement, gets the US title. Have them as the dominant stable in WWE for a year. There's more star power there. And then Biggie wins the Royal Rumble. Biggie Lashley at WrestleMania. Biggie becomes the champion.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
Well, with the strength of Biggie and Lashley colliding, I think that's a Mania match.
Yeah.
Worthy itself. And not only are you happy for Biggie to become WWE champion, but when Lashley's had the belt for a year, there's the bigger pop of, someone's finally beat him.
Yeah.
Again, it might not work because, fans are quite fickle and you've got to be patient and have the right storyline to go with it for a full 12 months. But it's possible.
It's possible. Again, Vince is fickle as well, so...
Yeah, this is it. It's like... In my head, I'm pretty sure Drew's winning the championship at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see that, but at the same time, I think it's kind of unfair on Lashley.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. But hopefully he can win it back at a different point. There's no reason he can't.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't see any reason why they might not give us the curveball and go, actually, Lashley won.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against either. I just... I kind of like, I want Drew just to have his Mania moment, and the only reason, I would be happy for him to have his Mania moment next year, but I know that Vince won't hold out that long. He'll get bored and change his mind, which is why I'm thinking it has to happen now, because if it doesn't, it's not going to happen. Yeah,
I mean, maybe I don't know how Drew feels about it. I think maybe he said, I tell you what, win or lose, I always wanted to be in the main event of WrestleMania in front of the crowd. Okay, you got it. Maybe they'll save the pot for winning the championship back for SummerSlam.
Maybe.
So it's not as far away. Because then, fair enough, they're not both at Mania, but he gets both things he deserves. The pop at SummerSlam, the main event at WrestleMania in front of a crowd.
Yeah, true.
Then main event.
Yeah, which obviously I kind of knew this was going to be the main event anyway, because this is probably one of the best built stories that we've got at the moment. And we knew Reigns was retaining. There's no way that Reigns isn't retaining. Again, we've just said this a million times, on the tear of his life, great heel persona, loving him going into Mania as champ. I'm loving everything about him. This is the best story they've got at the moment. And I really did enjoy this match. Even though we knew what the outcome would be, it did exactly what it needed to do. You had Reigns as this big, dominant heel, even like kind of like stepping out of like stuff that Bryan was trying to do to him. Like he's not even giving him enough time of day. And then you've got Bryan that we love so much as this plucky underdog, just constantly coming back with different submissions and different hits and just taunting Reigns as well and trying to annoy him as well to get into overreacts and stuff. All the while you got Edge on the outside as well, which to be fair didn't really do much right up until the end. Like I was getting to the point where I was going, is he actually going to get involved or is this going to be pointless? And luckily they did. But yeah, as far as wrestling concerns, it did exactly what it needed to do. Reigns was aggressive. Bryan was the plucky underdog that just kept coming back and kept saying no to Reigns. And then they ended obviously with Jay. I honestly didn't think Jay was coming out in this match.
No,
I generally didn't.
Well.
So that was quite a surprise with the chair. And then Edge gets involved in everything. The ref gets knocked down. It all goes bad. And then Bryan hits Edge with the chair by accident. Then Edge comes back with the chair and hits them both. Gets pissed off and then walks off. People are saying, "Oh, he's turned heel." Like, no, he hasn't. He's just pissed off at the situation. I don't think he's turned heel. You don't? No, I don't think you do that. And then the perfect ending, and I mean it was a perfect ending, that he had him in the yes lock, and without a ref or anyone else around to witness it, you can just you can see the panic in Reigns' eyes as well, going, "Holy shit, I think he's got me." And then just that ever so subtle tap, because you didn't want to make it a big deal. But I liked it so much. It's like, this is the way that you make it a triple threat. Because Bryan can go, "You tapped. No one saw it, but I felt it. You tapped. I deserve to be in this match," and they'll make it a triple threat. And I'm all for it. I really don't mind. I honestly thought I'd be annoyed that someone like Reigns would be tapping. But I'm not, because it's to someone like Bryan, and it served the story so perfectly that it makes sense for him to be interjected into the title picture. So I think it was a perfect way to end things.
All right. I know that they must have tried to sell it with the tap because the commentators were going mental about it. The problem I have with it, which might actually be smart storytelling ploy, of if he did, obviously it looked like he was fading. And it's like, well, how the fuck are you going to get out of this? If his hand had fell to the mat and passed out, fair enough, that's still a win. Or if his hand had fell to the mat and he'd done exactly the same tap out on the mat, totally agree. The way he was doing it like that, with such weakness and whatnot, which again he could say in a promo of like, this is what I'm actually doing. It seemed to me that with like his last bit of energy, he was trying to untangle the fingers again more than tap out. Because to me, a tap out is that. This was just kind of weak fingers trying to entangle through Bryan's fingers. Again, they sold it as a tap out, so I'll take it on the chin if that's what the
well, yeah, but I think it's a way of him. He doesn't want to show that he's tapping out by a big tapper. He's just subtly kind of, "Oh God, I can't take this. Oh my God, I can't believe he's got me." But he doesn't want to. He's trying to save face.
Yeah. Similar to what they did with Taker and Lesnar.
Yeah.
When Taker kind of tapped out, he was out of the view of the ref, and it wasn't like a full, "Oh, please let go." It was like just this little, can you, yeah, okay. So I get what they were trying to do. The match I thoroughly enjoyed. Again, it was just a very back and forth, let's see who the better man is kind of action. So that accidental chair shot by Bryan to Edge, to me, that was the whole... another notch of me thinking maybe they will make this triple threat.
I think they will.
Because now three of them have got a problem with each other. It was, again, I was in the same kind of... I will admit, recently, like they've done this with Kevin Owens and a couple of other matches, I have gone into those matches thinking, well, of course Reigns is winning this and whatnot. And then during the match, ever so slightly, sometimes think, or is he?
Yeah, I mean, I think there may have been once during this match I thought to myself, "Oh, will they though?"
Yeah,
but it's so fleeting. That will they though? You know, what I
know they're selling Reigns Edge at Mania. I get it. That's money match.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm thinking, well, isn't Edge Bryan a money match as well? But then the logic came in of kind of like, well, if it's Edge Bryan, what the hell's Roman going to do? But then obviously the logic turns around again. Well, what if it's triple threat? he can still be in it, but Bryan can go in as champ. You know, it's all this other stuff. Like
I think it is going to be a triple threat, and I think this is a way of Reigns losing the title to Edge without taking the pin. I think Bryan's going to be taking the pin, and Edge will be champ come the end of this. Because
maybe.
Now I know that they're pushing towards. Obviously, they're planting the seeds that it could be Bryan. There's plenty of strength there for Reigns to be retaining. But you've got to think of one very important detail. The day that they do this match is, I think it was 9, maybe 10 years to the day that he, I think it was either he retired or he retained at Mania. Edge did. So I can't remember specifically which one it was. It's whether he retired or whether he retained. I can't remember. But it's the significant date that makes you think, right, for the storyline and for the emotional weight that carries with it, Edge is taking this.
Yeah, I know which day you're on about. It was the Raw he retired. It's the exact same date.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, I think sometimes with WWE, I sometimes think, please don't go the obvious route. Which is why a few years ago, when it was Kofi Bryan at WrestleMania, everyone was going in like, Kofi's got to do it. He's got to do it. And I was still on the whole, yes, I'd love to see Kofi as champion. But can't they shock the world and go, no, actually, Bryan's won. But, you know, and I sometimes want to do that. So, by all means, push that story of Edge, you know, coming back after all these years on the day he retired to become world champion again at WrestleMania. But I think it might be the opposite. I think Bryan might be put in the match to protect Edge and Roman pins Bryan.
Yeah, I mean, potentially.
Because I would have no problem with Edge being world champion again, but I don't think he's come back purely to be world champion again. I think he wants to wrestle a few more matches.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
against people he hasn't wrestled against before in front of the fans. Yeah, but against some old foes.
There's no reason why once this is all over, if he does have the title, that he can have a feud with Bryan and Bryan can take the title afterwards. And then he can move on after that.
It is one of those. I will admit, I'm not sold on Mania at the minute. It's with Lashley Drew. I think they'll put on a decent match, but I'm not invested as such. If it's Bryan, Edge, Roman, I will look forward to the match, but I'll be going into that match of like, you know what? I don't mind who wins here.
Mm. Yeah, that's true.
Because
I know they're kind of building up towards this kind of like WrestleMania 30 thing where Bryan inserts himself into the match, but with that, we didn't want Orton or Batista to be winning it. It was a fucking dog shit of a main event. That's why Bryan deserved to be in that match at this moment. But with this, yeah, we like Reigns as a heel, we like Edge as well, so there's no losers.
Yeah, it's sometimes I don't know if that helps or hinders because it's like
I think it depends on how the match goes. Really, like if the match starts going that way, you've got to wait for the night to figure out whether it actually helped or not.
Yeah, the booking is so difficult sometimes. I said this about AJ Shinsuke a few years ago. Don't get me wrong. Out of the two, I wanted Shinsuke to become new WWE champion. But I love AJ Styles as much as Shinsuke. So it was kind of like, either way, I'm going to be happy. I'm not going to be sad. When you've got someone you genuinely don't want to be champion, and then his opponent is someone you genuinely want to be champion, there's your investment.
Yep.
And so it's sometimes hard at the time of like going, oh, fuck that guy, I want that guy to win, and he better not win, and there's the investment. When you've got two stars, like, I love him, this is going to be a great match, but the outcome don't matter to me. And like I said previously, the finish is the most important.
Yeah, again, like we say, it's how you leave them.
Yeah, it's what the best booking they did of like, yes, I love him, but I want him to lose. In recent years was Ciampa Gargano. I loved the whole storyline. I loved what Ciampa was doing, but I wanted Gargano to kick his ass.
Yeah,
that's smart booking. And there's rumours now of it's going to be Kevin Sami at WrestleMania.
Yes, there is rumours, and I don't get me wrong, I'm for that because I love the two of them. I love this, but please, for the love of God, make it a decent story because this I always wanted these two to go at it for a title at Mania because you know but you know they're not going for that. That's fine, but just make it a decent story where we can get so invested that we cannot wait to see what these two are going to give us.
Yeah, to me, because I think we've said this in the past, Sammy's a great heel but better face.
Yeah.
As the opposite with Kevin. Kevin's a better heel than face. So the ideal WrestleMania match for me for those two is Kevin going in as champ, Sammy as challenger. Because as much as I love both of them, I'll be going into Mania going, I want Sammy to be the new champion. I put my chips.
Yeah,
on
yeah, and I totally agree with that. But what we've got at the moment, with it just being just a standard match, I would be happy with it by the end of it having a double turn. Because we haven't had that in a very, very, very long time. So to build that kind of, just let them have an absolute scorcher of a match. Give them at least 15 to 20 minutes. Let them go to absolute town on each other. And by the end of it, it's just like it was with Austin Brett. Where by the end of it, you've got a double turn and you're loving Sammy for his plucky underdogness and you're starting to be pissed off with KO because he's taken his dirty tactics to beat him. And it could be amazing coming out of that. What an amazing turn you can have and just in a great match in it. So fingers crossed they give us that, but we'll see.
What I'd love to see, because Kevin wants to jump off that ship. We know he wants
to
jump off that ship.
Oh, yeah.
So they could tear the place apart and tear each other apart with a great match to the point where the fans aren't. You still have the double turn, but by the end of it, with the fans that are there, you get the standing ovation.
Yeah.
Maybe Sammy wins, but it's because Kevin misses whatever he tried to do off the shit. So, there's no way he's getting up. He's being hospitalised, and Sammy actually shows concern for his friend. So he goes up to the stretcher, tells them all to get away and to make sure he's okay, gets him out the stretcher and says, come on, we're going to walk up the aisle of WrestleMania together as friends.
I'll be right with that.
Do that, have Kevin going up with him, go for the hug at the end, and then Kevin pushes him off the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Sammy's injured, so Kevin's there screaming at him, limps off, and Sammy ends up being the one stretched out of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
There's your double turn.
Yeah, that'd be great.
WWE, listen to me. Yeah. I know what I want.
Book it.
Yes. So, ratings.
Yes.
This has been more difficult for me.
Yeah, this was really, really hard. For me, I mulled it over quite a while because it was a show of two halves. First half was just not good, and the second half was good to great. So with that, I think I'm just going to have to give it smack bang in the middle. It's going to be 5 out of 10. That's the highest I can give it, really.
I'm going to go... see, I was on the upper spectrum. I was toying with 7, 6.5. And I think, after speaking of remembering what happened in the women's tag match, I think I'm going to have to go 6.5.
Okay.
Because, the women's tag and the Braun Strowman thing, forget about it. Drew, Sheamus, great. Main event, great. Shinsuke, Seth. I wouldn't go with great, but very good. The Fiend thing, great to see him back, but again, like I say, kind of on the fence, just want to see what happens next. And Biggie, Apollo, fantastic until the Botch finish.
Yeah.
So, I think 6.5 is a fair rating with that. So I think hopefully our ratings will be higher, because it'll be for next one, because it'll be WrestleMania, and there'll be fans.
Yeah, so hopefully. Obviously, we still won't be able to review it together because of lockdown rules, but, still...
we can do it in the garden.
Yeah, well, we could do.
Just beat in the garden.
So, the next time we're back, it will be WrestleMania. We know it's 2 nights, but we're just going to review it all in one go, so it will be quite a long... There's also another reason it might be long is obviously you're probably not aware of this, but I spoke to our good friend Matt that we've mentioned a couple of times in this podcast, and he's up for reviewing it with us as well. So
cool.
There's going to be 3 of us reviewing it. So it's probably going to be a little bit more of a different system where it's like someone's going to have to give their answer and then someone else is going to give their answer. So we're just going to try and get through it, but it will probably be a long review because there'll be 3 of us and it'll be 2 nights of Mania as well.
It'd be a 2-night podcast the way things are going. So, we're ranting on. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, that was Fastlane.
Yes, it was Fastlane. And as I say, you've got 3 weeks and then it's Mania.
Yes, time flies, doesn't it? Even in lockdown.
Yeah.
We're already at Mania again. So, yeah, hopefully this time next year we're watching it in a bar somewhere.
Yeah, and be able to sit in a room and review it together.
Yeah. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yes, so like, subscribe, share, and we'll be back in 3 weeks.
Farewell.
Bye.